Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Vanya's back at another Card Fight Vanguard deck performance. If you guys enjoyed them, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll start, shall we? This time, I just coughed. This time we're covering Narukami, Eradicator, Sweeping Command. So, Sweeping Command got revealed. I don't think any of us were expecting Sweeping Command, frankly. I didn't remember Sweeping Command was a card, until Zero, frankly, because I didn't know it was a card, or if I did, I skimmed over it very slightly in the olden days of Vanguard, and then I abused it semi-ly in Zero, just because I could and I would, and then when I got revealed, I completely forgot it was an actual thing until I had to relook in Zero to make sure it was a real card. So, let's go and get this started, shall we, and we'll see how good Sweeping Command is. First up, we have our starter in Eradicator Springlight Dracokid, grade 0 boost, 10k shield, 6k base. All in a road upon draw card, landing opponent's Vanguard's a grade 1 or grade 8. A quick shield, take it to your hand. Standard starter ability, not special about it. It's a draw, it's a quick shield. You can really pick any starter. I just like this one because, one, I just like Springlight Dracokid. He's cute. I like that he's coming out of an egg and with the thunder. I don't know, he just looks cute. And also, this is an Eradicator deck, so might as well run the Eradicator starter because that's what this is. Then our trick lineup: 4 draw PG and Wyvern guard Guld, grade 0 boost, 0 shield, 5k power, continuous sentinel, and force on the deck on auto guard. When placed, card 1 from your hand, one of these cannot be done in battle. So, standard PG skill, nothing special about it, it's just a straight up PG, and it's a draw at that, so it's just helpful to get hand cards and to also block big attacks, especially because, like, the whole point of this deck is to kind of slowly advance the board at the very start, and then proceed to go ham at the very end, like, slow, make the first grade 3 turn slow, but advancing. Second grade 3 turn is all in. I either die next turn or I win now. So, yeah, the draw PG helps with that because it makes it so that you don't die earlier. Then we have our 4 crit and Spark Edge Dracokid. That helps when you're on Descendant to force out guards and help the Vanguard restand. It also helps when you have like a bunch of rear guards in the front row that you can just start stacking crits on over and over again. There's also 4 fronts and Zephyr Kid Hayate. When you have a front row that you can abuse the shit out of, you're obviously going to sack fronts, so you want to put fronts in there to sack fronts with. And then we have 4 heals in Toxin, Eradicator, Seibo. Grade 0 boost, 20k shield, 5k base. I run the vanilla heals. I think it's known at this point that I don't like heal guardians. If you don't know why, go watch the Locks video and you'll get a more detailed version of why I don't like them, but the main reason is they're not much to my playstyle, and I would rather not play them if I have the choice. And especially in this case with Seibo too, because Seibo, back when I used to play Vanguard, or not, why am I saying back when I used to? I'm implying that I don't anymore. Back when I, before I played G in Vanguard, one of the first decks I played was Eradicators, and I had the Eradicator trial deck. Seibo, whew, every time I would hit 6 damage, or like 1 or 2 out of 5 games. Actually, no, that's a lie. It's like more than 2 or 3 out of 5 games. I would actively sack her at my 6 damage, and then I would win the following turn via the sack of a crit. So I kind of owe it to her that she just saves me. She's a saving grace. I cannot afford to get rid of her because I'm afraid like she'll just turn on me. So 4 of Seibo because yeah, don't want to like invite any bad juju into my deck. So 4 of. Then we have our first grade 1. So 4 copies of Lightning Gun Eradicator Ouban, grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Continues rear guard. During turn, if you have Lightning Eradicator Cannon Eradicator Gongsun in the same column as it, it gets +3. Cool, so it's an 11k booster. And auto rear when placed, if you have a Lightning Cannon Eradicator Gongsun in the same column as it, countercharge 1. Okay, pluses to this, countercharging. That's why it's here. This deck, if you let it, will run a lot of will run out of counterblast very quickly. He fixes that a lot. And typically, you only need to use one of them, which is the weird part. So where are the other 3, 4? You call them to Excel circles. Yeah, like I said, second grade 3 turn is the Hail Mary turn. You literally have to kill them that turn, otherwise it's kind of just game. So, at least that's how I play it. You probably could still have another turn, but that's how I play it. Fuck it. Second grade 3 turn, I'm either winning or losing. So Ouban is really helpful. He gets that counters off, makes it so that you can spare resources and abuse skills more. And not to mention that 3k genuinely does come in helpful because if you have Gongsun in the same column, that means it's a 23k column swing. So unless they sack a trigger, it's a 15k drop. So without triggers. So all around, Ouban's a really good grade 1, and I like it. So 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Isolation Eradicator Nusku. I don't remember if I called this thing God or not, but that would not be an underestimation of its skill because it genuinely has like proven above and beyond to me that it deserves the title of God. So grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto Vanguard when placed, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal to 1 Eradicator card from among them, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and put a card to God, discard 1. So first up, doesn't have to be a normal unit. which I'm now starting to realize this is why they didn't call this Eradicator Wyvern Guard Guld, because you remember there was an Eradicator version. I'm starting to think maybe this is the reason why they knew this was coming, because otherwise that would be a free PG search since it doesn't say normal unit. So you can get a heal trigger with it. Worst case scenario, you know, if you wanted to, well, if it was in premium for G-Guard purposes, obviously, but if it was like, maybe you just needed the extra 20k shield or was the only Eradicator there, it's a 20k shield, so cool. But either way, Nusku's really good. He has saved me from, it has saved me from getting grade locked on multiple occasions. I cannot tell you how many times that has happened. And my vowing deck has literally been the sole reason I've been able to draw into any of my vowings outside of normal draws, which have like 50-50 Lech sacks, and just all around is the most consistent card in this deck. I don't know how it works for everyone else, but I know this thing deserves to be at a 4 in my deck because I would lose so many times if I didn't have him, whatever. 4 of Nusku. It's just the most important grade 1 in this deck. If there's a choice between this and something else in your hand for Mulligan, you pick this to keep. 4 of. It's an amazing searcher. Then we have 4 copies of Eradicator, Demolition, Dragon. Yes, I still stand by that point, by the way. Even if this thing's a really good Vanguard, this is objectively better, just because searching. Anyways, Demolition, Dragon, good one, boost 10k shield, 8k base, auto Van rear. At the end of the battle, they attacked or boosted into anything. If the attack hit, regardless if it was a rear guard or Vanguard, draw a card, and then choosing a card from your opponent's drop zone, bind it. If you bound a card, goes to soul if it was on rear. So, pluses to this. It's a free draw the second it hits. So that's good. Then you get to bind something from drop, which activates skills, and that can abuse a lot of stuff from things like sweep command. And then you could shove him to soul. So that's really good. He fills up soul for sweep command / descendant cost. He can easily bind, and he gets to draw all around. Demolition is a really good grade 1 to have in the back row, and he's a decent grade 1 ride target. But again, Nusku is just inherently better. Again, I will make that argument. Nusku has saved my ass so many times. Demolition's kind of been there. I'm not saying he's not a bad card, but I'm not saying he's not a good card, but Nusku has proven more use to me than this thing has. So, for Demolition, he's still a good grade 1, and in the eyes of others, probably a better grade 1 than Nusku, but in my eyes, Nusku is inherently better. On to grade 2s. 2 copies of Eradicator, Plasmacatapult, Dragon. The reason this is here will be signified by these next few words. Because I needed an Eradicator grade 2 at 2 copies, that wasn't Sweetan. Because as you all know, I don't like running cards that I cannot use the full abilities of, and while yes, technically I can use Sweetan to its fullest ability, I technically can't because I do not run Gauntlet in this deck, and I refuse to run Gauntlet because Gauntlet is one of my least favorite Narukami cards. And well, not only that, it's just because I've seen Gauntlet thrown into a lot of other Narukami decks, and I hate that so much, and it's tiring, so I'm not going to run Gauntlet, give the guy a break, partially because I don't like him, but other reasons too. And yes, so Sweetan gets to go with him. Anyways, Plasmacatapult, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. 9k base. Act, Van or rear, once per turn. Counter boss 1, soul boss 1. Choose an opponent's from a rear guard, bind it, and your opponent chooses a card from their back row, moves it to an open front row, and if it was on Van when it did this, you get to draw a card. So basically, Berserk Dragon, except not an on place, and fucks with their board. It's a good card. It genuinely is, because it can do board removal. My thing is, though, it's the same cost as Sweep Command, and Sweep Command is better. Like, if you have to ride this, it's not the end of the road, because at least you're getting a draw to replace it. And if you have it on rear, you have it on rear. You got something that you can use to fuck with their board. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm not saying you can't use it. I'm just saying, like, this could genuinely be anything, but because I'm going for the whole Eradicator thing, and the only other Eradicator that I saw was a grade 2 that I didn't want to run. Outside of Zuitan, obviously. 2 copies of Plasmacatapult, because, like, Plasma was useful back in the day. I say that, like, he's not useful now. Well, in my, He was more useful back then when he first came out. Now it's not so much, but still, good grade 2. He's reliable. Can say that much when I've seen him, so 2 of. Then we have 3 copies of Lightning Cannon Eradicator Gongsun, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Is it weird that I run this at 3 and this at 4, and yet somehow I see this less than I see this, even though this is at the lower number? Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 9k base, continues Van rear during turn. If you have Lightning Gun Eradicator Ouban in the same column as it gets +3, so 23k column, which is really nice. And then auto Van rear at the end of the battle, attack while boosted by Ouban, counter boss 1, bind all your rear guards same column as it, and draw 2 cards, includes your units. So basically, an entire column goes down. So say you swung into a Vanguard and your opponent's column that opposes this is also a full column. You wipe out that column, you wipe out your column, you get to draw 2. Really cool, because he does battle phase binding, which is something you really want in this deck. Gets rid of a column with pure ease, and you get to net advantage off it. All around, Gongsun is really good. My personal thing is this. I don't like using that skill to draw 2. Not because I don't like drawing 2. I just feel like drawing is not like a simple skill worth paying a counter boss 1 over, regardless of how much you draw from it. Now, if they have column, like if they have an actual column, then I'll use the skill. If they have a very important rear guard in a column that's opposing this, then yes, I will use the skill. But if they don't have rear guards in that column, I'm not using the skill solely because I don't care. I don't know why I do this. It's just my thing. Either way, 3 Gongsun, really nice. Hits the hand cards, does battle phase binding, gets rid of columns, all that good stuff. 3 of. Then we have 4 copies of Eradicator, Spark Rain Dragon. More battle phase binding. How many of the cards do that? Like 3 cards? 3 cards that have battle phase binding. So Spark Rain, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base, continuous van rear. During your turn, he gets plus 1k for each card in your opponent's bind zone. Cool. Good numbers. If you were going turbo, if your opponent rushed you and then you punished them back by like nuking their board somehow on grade 2 turn, and then you just had 3 Spark Rains at the ready, you can punish them for rushing you, but to be fair with you, that rarely will happen. And if it does happen and you have the chance to punish them for it, punish them for it. Remind them why they shouldn't have done that in the first place. And then, so that 1k will stack up, though. It gets dangerous over time. And then auto rear, at the end of the battle, they attacked into anything. Counter boss 1. Choose the column that it's in. Bind all front or rear guard circles in that column. And then move all the rear guards to the front of that column. So, here's the thing. If he's on an Excel circle, it will only affect him, which means nothing will move up. So you cannot put him on an Excel circle. And yet half the time I do it anyways because I will never willingly use that skill. Because in my opinion, that skill is not remotely worth it considering the times that I swing with him. I've already deleted the front row off the face of the map. And I don't need that extra attack because in my opinion the boost is far more important. And to be frank with you, half the time I don't even need him to attack because I'll win that same turn without it. So 4 of Spark Rain, he's good. The people that use him to get the multi-attacks, fair enough. You know, he is good for the multi-attacks. I choose to save Counterblast, and the 1k ends up being my winning grace. But the day that I will use his skill, when I don't know, will probably be the day I win slightly more with this deck than I do averagely, even though I win a decent amount with this deck. So, 4 Spark Rain. He's just a good grade 2 for multi-attack, and he gets numbers. Then we have 4 copies of, I guess, my all-time favorite grade 2 Eradicator, which is Lightning Whip Eradicator Suhail. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Continues rear guard if he's on additional rear guard, so it's plus 5 for your turn. Cool, so if you show him on Excel 2, he's a 19k base. If during your opponent's turn, he's a 14k base. I don't know why I said during your turn he gets the 5k. It's during both players' turns, so that's nice. 14k base at the very least. And then auto van rear when placed. If you have an Eradicator, if you have a Vanguard with Eradicator in its card name, discard 1, choose an opponent's front rear guard, bind it, and draw a card. Cool. Technically that counts as battle phase binding because it can be placed whenever, and as long as it was placed at all, you can use that ability. So cool, it doesn't cost counter boss, doesn't cost soul blast, gets you a bind and basically replaces the hand card you discarded. All around Suhail is definitely a really good card. That's the literal reason why I liked it when it first came out. It was just a free skill that allowed you to draw and bind. So I like it. I still think it's really cool of a grade 2, and it has proven more use in this deck than it has proven in my other Eradicator deck. So all around, I think Suhail is amazing, and I give it a 4 of. Then we move on to our grade 3s. 4 of Eradicator, Dragonic, Descendant. Yep, I run Dragonic Descendant, but I don't run Gauntlet because I just don't find Gauntlet entertaining at all, especially when I have Armor Break, who in my opinion does the same thing but better. Anyways, grade 3, 200 Excel Gift, 12k base. Continuous, when you would write this card, if you have a Vanguard and if your Vanguard is a unit with Eradicator in its card name, this unit gets all of its abilities for the end of turn. Basically, if you rated this from anything that was a normal unit, it gets their abilities. So it can get Suhail's on place ability, it can get Gongsun's ability, which would be a plus just for a 15 if you happen to have an Ouban behind him. You could get Spark Rain's ability, which could be slightly deadly depending on how much binding you've been doing. You get Plasma, who could be helpful in the situation. Somehow, if you wrote it from Demolition, you could get Demolition skill, but I would legally question how you did that, and same with Nusku and the rest of the boys. And it also works for grade 3s as well, so you get Sweep Command, and that's all pretty much it for it. And it can get it for himself, so basically he can clone his own skills. And then act Vanguard or Rear Guard once per turn. Soul Blast 1, choose an opponent's front row rear guard, bind it, they move something from the back row to the front row. Or to the open front row. So that's pretty good. It's just a bind and move something up, simple cost of a Soul Blast. Don't really like that it's a Soul Blast, especially because Sweep Command needs Soul Blast for his skill, but whatever. It's still a good skill nonetheless. does board fuckery. Weirdly enough, the skill I use the least out of Descendant, and the skill I always forget is on him, because that is the least important skill to me, and I will never use it if I'm aware of it. I will instinctively use it, but I will never, like, knowingly use his skill. And then Auto Van, once per turn, when its attack does not hit whatever it was swinging into, doesn't matter if it was the Vanguard or Rear Guard, if they blocked the attack, or the attack just didn't connect, counter boss 1, discard 1, stand him, lose the drive. So, pretty good. Get a Vanguard restand. I'm 95% sure if you just rewrite over this with another Descendant and he gets... Because with the way Dauntless would work, it would work the same way where he'll get the other 2 skills. Now I'm so sure if both would activate at the same time, so you couldn't restand him twice. But if you could restand him twice, that'd be pretty dangerous, especially because like this first time around, you might end up seeing a crit during your draft, and the second time around, same with the thing. And if they see a crit come down, then they know, okay, you run crits. If they've only seen 1 crit go down, that's the best situation. Because to most deck people I see run cards or like trigger lineups at all, I rarely see a person ever run 1 copy of a trigger. What I mean by that is they will never run like 1 crit, entirely, only 1 crit. 1 card that's a crit at 1 copy. That has never happened to my knowledge, from what I've seen. So like the chances that they will end up thinking that they only have seen that 1 crit and that's the only crit in their deck is very doubtful. So that's a plus for Descendant. Making it deadly if they only seen 1 crit go down the entire game, and just the restand possibility and the fucking with the board and being like the most versatile grade 3 we have right now, because it can literally turn itself into anything that's an Eradicator. So 4 of Descendant, because it basically gives everything that it rid from an extra use. So 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Eradicator Sweep Command Dragon, the final unit in this deck in our main grade 3. Grade 3 turn drive Excel Gift, 12k base. Auto always placed on Van or Rear by any means. Soul Boss 1, choose an opponent's front or rear guard, bind it, choose up to one of their back or rear guards, move to open front row. So the exact same thing as Descendant, but in on place. I'd argue that's worse, because Descendant, while yes being a once per turn, works on both. Well, they both work on Van and Rear, except one's an on place and one's not. So take that as you will. And then Auto Van once per turn. The real reason you run this, when your opponent's rear guard is bound during your turn, by any means, whenever. So if it's the battle phase, which is why we have all of these battle phase binders. You may bind one of their front or rear guard circles, and then if you had 4 more damage when you did this, counter boss 1, soul boss 1, get an imaginary gift Excel, and choose an Eradicator from your drop zone and oh, it's from the drop. I thought it was from hand. Well, cool. That's even better than I thought it was. I was handicapping myself, but so that's good. He can fetch Eradicators from drop, so if you soul boss an Eradicator, cool. You can call it even if you didn't have one in hand. Now I have ways to abuse Suhail, because now I can just soul boss the Suhail that I rode, call it to the Excel circle, use the Suhail skill, because he doesn't require you to call it to the Excel circle, so, because this is call it to rear, yeah, so, call it to the Excel circle if you want to, use his skill, bind something in the front row if they still had front or rear guard circles. All around, it's a plus. He just gets rid of rear guards, and he can do it during the battle phase, get extra attacks, and just recycle your drop zone. So all around, I really like Sweep Command. I think it's an amazing grade 3. I love it so much, and, it's good. I think it's an upgrade from its old version. Granted, I could not tell you what its old version did. All I remember is I believe it had like a counter boss 2, soul boss 2. Maybe I'm completely wrong and I'm thinking of a completely different Eradicator, but I'm assuming that's who it was. Either way, Sweep Command is nice, gets that Excel gift, and he can do it during your turn, so that's a plus, so 4 of. Then we have our Excel guests, 4 Excel 1s, 4 Excel 2s, because quite literally I only ever make 3 a game. Literally I make 1 from his effect, and then sometimes I'll make a 4th one, but then like I said, I either win that turn or I lose the next turn. So when they're made, they both create new circles in the front left and then front right, and it alternates between the 2. I don't know why Bushy made that specific ruling, but they did, but whatever. Anyways, Excel 1, the unit on that circle gets plus 10 during your turn. Excel 2, when the circle is made, you get a draw, and it gets the unit on it gets plus 5 during your turn. So this one's better for power, this one's better for consistency, because you get to a draw, which could give you a unit to call to the circle. I prefer Excel 2, just because you can get more hands, and like I said, you take the first turn, slowly build up, and then you take the second turn, and then you try to win that turn with everything you got. You call whatever you can. You call PGs, you call heals, you resort to literally like full body ram to death. It's a glass cannon. You throw everything onto the board. If you don't win, you're screwed. If you win, well, good job. So I prefer the Excel 2 just for hand. If you need to kill them quickly, because who knows, they're playing a really cool power deck, run Excel 1 and then proceed to beat the shit out of them before they beat the shit out of you. So that's how I see it. 4 of Excel 1, 4 of Excel 2. Then we have a quick shield, which is when one of your units is attacked plus 5k for the battle. Standard 5k shield, typically used for discard fodder of the one and only Nusku. We all know why you use it. I'm not going to bother explaining how Nusku's god again. So yeah, just free 5k shield you normally use for discard fodder. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's fun. Well, here's my thing. I wouldn't say it's not fun, because it is fun. But in comparison to trying to pull off 14 attacks consistently with Vowing Saber, and then my opponent dies long before I can even hit the 14th attack, yeah, it's, you know, it's fair. I think Vowing Saber, in my opinion, is the more fun deck that they've come up with in this collection set, just because, you know, 14 attacks is really funny to do, especially on a deck that shouldn't be able to multi-attack that much, but whatever. All around, Sweep Command is really good. He can get that consistency, he can get that multi-attack when your opponent least expect it. All around, I think it's really good, and if we can get more support for Sweeping Command that can do Battle Phase Binding and get us like more cost handlers, Sweep Command could probably be a meta deck. I can definitely see Sweep Command being a meta deck. So without further ado, I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.